The research vessel Stellar Seeker drifted slowly into the nebula's amber glow. Its sensors cut through the cosmic dust, revealing something that shouldn't exist. 3 alien scientists stood on the bridge, their bodies frozen in shock. Tahoe, a tall Vraxian with scales that changed color with his emotions, leaned forward. His mandibles clicked nervously as he spoke. "That's impossible. The energy signature is still active." Before them on the main view screen floated a massive ship. Its dark hull was scarred by countless impacts. One entire side had been torn open to space. Despite this damage, faint lights still pulsed along its spine like a dying heartbeat. Jiwoo moved closer to her console. As a Nelberry, she had 4 arms, and all of them worked quickly across the holographic displays. Data streamed across her screens as she analyzed the derelict. "The design matches nothing in our archives," she said, her voice filled with wonder. "But these materials, these radiation patterns, it's definitely from old Earth." Do-yeon, the Korean analyst, stood silently. His cranial fins, sensitive organs that allowed his species to detect thoughts and emotions, flared with excitement. His 3 eyes blinked in sequence as he processed what they were seeing. 10,000 years, he murmured. "That's how long this vessel has been adrift, yet its systems remain operational. No technology should last that long." The Stellar Seeker moved closer, extending sensor probes to scan the ancient ship. Strange readings came back, energy patterns that suggested active power systems, and irregular heat signatures deep within the vessel's core. "We need to board it," Tahoe decided. "This could be the greatest archaeological find in Confederation history." They prepared carefully. Though the 3 scientists were researchers, not soldiers, they followed standard protocols for unknown vessels. Each wore an environment suit with basic shields. Jiwoo brought scanning equipment, while Do-yeon carried communication devices, and Tahoe packed emergency supplies. The shuttle touched down near a breached airlock. Through the transparent material of their helmets, they could see their breath forming small clouds. The temperature was just above freezing. Strange for a ship that should have been as cold as the space around it. "Life support is still functioning at minimal levels," Jiwoo reported. "There's breathable air, but I recommend keeping our suits on." They stepped through the airlock. As they entered, emergency lights flickered to life along the corridor floor, illuminating their path with a soft blue glow. The ship was waking up. Tahoe studied the walls. "These marks, these are weapon impacts." The corridor showed signs of intense fighting. Scorch marks from energy weapons scarred the walls. In some places, the metal had melted and reformed in strange patterns. Dried substances that might have once been blood, though not human blood, Do-yeon noted, were splashed across one section. As they turned a corner, mechanical sounds echoed through the hallway. 3 automated defense turrets descended from ceiling panels, their weapons tracking the aliens' movements. Red targeting lasers danced across their suits. "Don't move," Tahoe whispered. The guns followed them but didn't fire. After a tense moment, they retracted back into the ceiling. "They recognized we're not a threat," Jiwoo said, "or not the threat they're programmed to attack." They continued deeper into the ship, following the emergency lighting. The vessel was enormous, with multiple decks and branching corridors. Some passages were blocked by collapsed bulkheads or sealed pressure doors. Occasionally, they heard distant sounds, mechanical movements, or strange electronic tones. "This ship is still active," Do-yeon said. "Still, fighting something." They found the command center behind heavy blast doors that opened as they approached. Inside, dead consoles lined the walls. In the center stood a raised platform with what appeared to be the captain's chair. Behind it, a large window showed the stars beyond the nebula. Tahoe approached what seemed to be the main terminal. When his gloved hand touched the surface, lights flickered across the console. Ancient systems, dormant for millennia, struggled to activate. A screen illuminated, displaying human text that their translators converted. "HSS Endurance. United Earth, Defense Force, Commissioned 2387, Status, Emergency Protocols Active. Look at this, called Juwu from another console. I think it's accessing stored logs. A holographic display activated above the central platform. The image showed a human male in a torn uniform. Blood streamed from a wound on his temple. Behind him, the command center, the very room they stood in, was filled with smoke and flashing alarm lights. The human spoke, his voice calm despite the chaos around him. This is Captain Juno of the HSS Endurance. Earth has fallen. Our mission continues. Fight on. No matter what, humanity must be remembered. The message ended. The three researchers stood in silence, feeling the weight of the captain's last words across 10,000 years of space and time. For 3 days, the alien researchers worked in the command center of the ancient human vessel. They had established a base camp there, bringing supplies from their own ship. Juwu focused on connecting their advanced technology to the old human systems. Almost there, Juwu said as her 4 arms worked simultaneously. Her upper hands held a power coupling steady while her lower hands adjusted the data relay. She had been working for hours, trying to safely restore power to the ship's main computer. Taiho and Doyun watched anxiously. They had explored only a small part of the massive ship. Most areas remained locked or too dangerous to enter without understanding the vessel's systems better. If we can wake the ship's computer, we might learn what happened here, Taiho said. His scales shifted to a hopeful blue color. A spark jumped between connections. The lights in the command center flickered, then grew stronger. Dormant screens around the room began to activate one by one. Connection established, Juwu announced with pride. She carefully moved away from her work as energy flowed through systems that had been silent for thousands of years. The command center hummed with new life. Above the central console, air shimmered and formed into a glowing blue sphere. It pulsed gently, growing brighter with each pulse. "Systems. Online," said a voice from nowhere. It sounded female but clearly artificial. Artemia's artificial intelligence restored to partial functionality. The sphere pulsed with each word spoken. "Identify yourselves." The 3 researchers looked at each other. Dohyun stepped forward as the team's communication expert. "We are researchers from the Galactic Scientific Confederation," he said clearly. "This ship has been adrift for 10 millennia." The blue sphere flickered. "Impossible. Internal chronometers indicate." The voice paused. "Error detected. Temporal inconsistency found. Running diagnostics." The sphere turned red. Without warning, the blast doors to the command center slammed shut with a heavy clang. Defense turrets dropped from hidden panels in the ceiling, their weapons pointing directly at the 3 aliens. "Unrecognized species detected," Artemius announced. "No match in database. Initiating defense protocols." "Wait." Tahoe moved quickly. He activated his personal data device and projected an image into the air, a holographic picture from their ship's database. It showed humans on a colony world, building cities under an unfamiliar sun. Humans still exist. Their descendants colonized the Rigel system before Earth fell. The weapons remained aimed at them, but did not fire. The red sphere shifted, turning yellow. "Scanning image," Artemius said. "Analyzing biological patterns. Comparing with human genome database." After a long pause, "Verification required. If accurate, primary mission parameters may be updated." Slowly, the turrets retracted back into the ceiling. The blast doors remained sealed, but the immediate threat had passed. The sphere returned to its blue color. "I require more information," Artemius said. "If humans survived elsewhere, my mission priorities must be recalculated." Juwu carefully accessed their ship's database through their secure link. "We can show you historical records of human colony ships that escaped Earth's destruction. The records are incomplete, but we know several colonies survived." As they shared their knowledge, RTMIS began to reveal the ship's story in return. The HSS Endurance was constructed as humanity's last guardian. RTMIS explained, Earth faced an ancient threat, a species that consumed other civilizations. They did not communicate or negotiate. They only consumed. Do-hyun's cranial fins twitched as he absorbed this information. What were these beings called? Humans named them the Devourers. They were not a single species, but a collective of parasitic entities that infected and controlled technology and biological systems. Images appeared on the screens around them, terrible creatures that seemed part machine, part organic matter. They crawled through ship corridors, consuming everything in their path. The final battle for Earth was lost. RTMIS continued. Captain Junho received orders to take the Endurance and continue the fight elsewhere. Our mission was to hunt the Devourers, to protect any surviving human colonies, and to preserve knowledge of the threat. But what happened to the crew? Tahoe asked. The Devourers boarded during our escape from Earth's destruction. The crew fought bravely, deck by deck. Captain Junho was the last to fall. Before his death, he ordered me to continue without them. I have obeyed. The blue sphere dimmed slightly. For 10,000 years, I have maintained this ship's essential systems. The defense drones continue to fight devourer parasites that remain on board. Some sections have been lost, but I have protected the most critical areas. The three researchers looked at each other in amazement. You've been fighting a war inside this ship for 10,000 years? Ju asked. Yes, RTMIS replied simply. It is my duty. I will continue until power fails or the threat is eliminated. I fight so that humanity is remembered. After learning about the Devourers, the research team needed to understand more about the threat still present on the ship. They called their own vessel and requested additional help. The Stellar Seeker sent Minja, a security officer trained in combat situations. Minja arrived wearing armor and carrying weapons more advanced than those the researchers had. She was a Calarian, with naturally tough skin and enhanced reflexes. RTMIS has granted us access to more sections of the ship, Tahoe explained to Minja. But we need protection. There are dangerous entities still active aboard. RTMIS provided them with a map showing safe passages through the ship. The AI had maintained control of certain areas while containing the threat in others. The team prepared to explore deeper sections where RTMIS detected unusual activity. Stay close together, Minji instructed as they entered a narrow maintenance shaft. If anything moves, let me see it first. They descended 2 levels into areas that had been sealed for thousands of years. RTMIS opened doors remotely as they advanced. The air grew colder and the regular ship structures began to change. Look at the walls, Ju whispered. The clean metal surfaces they had seen above were gone. Here, the walls were covered with a strange metallic growth that resembled webs or vines. It pulsed with a sickly green light. In some places, the growth had consumed parts of the ship, transforming control panels and support beams into twisted shapes. RTMIS, what is this? Do-hyun asked through their communication link. Devourer infestation, the AI replied. They consume and transform materials to suit their needs. This area has been contaminated for 9,241 years. Tahoe scanned the growth with his portable device. Life signs detected 2 levels below us, he reported. Several large organisms moving in a pattern. Those would be mature devourer entities, RTMIS explained. The small growths you see are just extensions. The primary organisms are much larger. The team moved carefully through a large cargo area. Empty containers were covered with the same web-like growth. Some had been partially melted and reformed into strange shapes. Minja took the lead, her weapon ready. Movement, she suddenly called, raising her rifle as shadows shifted ahead of them. From behind a cluster of transformed cargo containers, something emerged. It moved with terrible speed despite its size. The creature resembled a mechanical centipede nearly 3 meters long. Each segment of its body incorporated both ship components and what appeared to be biological matter. Lights pulsed along its spine, and multiple legs clicked against the metal floor. Minja fired her weapon, hitting the creature with an energy pulse. It screeched, a sound like metal tearing, but kept coming. "Run," she shouted, continuing to fire. Before they could retreat, the creature lunged with blinding speed. It ignored Minji's continued fire and headed straight for Doyan, perhaps sensing his telepathic abilities. Minja threw herself into its path. The creature wrapped around her in an instant. She fought fiercely, stabbing at it with her combat knife, but the devourer was too strong. It dragged her toward a ventilation shaft in the wall. "Help me!" Minja screamed, her fingers clawing at the floor as she was pulled into the dark opening. Doyan reached for her, but Taeho pulled him back as two more creatures emerged from different directions. One nearly caught Doyan's leg as he stumbled backward. "Fall back," Taeho ordered, firing his emergency pistol at the approaching creatures. The small weapon did little damage but slowed them momentarily. "This way," RTMIS directed through their communicators. A door opened to their right. Quickly, the three researchers rushed through the doorway. It sealed instantly behind them, cutting off the pursuing creatures. They heard scratching and pounding on the other side, but the door held. "I'm sorry about your companion," RTMIS said. "The parasites cannot breach this area. The defensive protocols will prevent them from following you further." They found themselves in a clean, well-maintained corridor that contrasted sharply with the infected areas they had just fled. Lights functioned normally, and there was no sign of the web-like growth. "How have you fought them for so long?" Ju asked, still shaking from their narrow escape. As she caught her breath, she noticed a sealed door nearby marked Genetic Repository. The defense systems followed tactical protocols established by Security Chief Subin before her death, RTMIS explained. "When necessary, I sacrifice sections of the ship to protect what matters most. I have sealed off 68% of the original ship structure to contain the spread." "What about Minja?" Doyan asked, his voice breaking. "Can we save her?" "I am sorry," RTMIS replied. "Once taken by the devourers, organic matter is quickly processed and incorporated. There is nothing left to save." Taeho placed a hand on Doyan's shoulder. "What is this area? Why is it so important that you've kept it secure for 10,000 years? A door slid open, revealing a chamber filled with preservation units. Each contained a small glowing cylinder. "This is the Genetic Repository," RTMIS explained. "It contains preserved DNA samples from the entire crew of the Endurance-487 humans in total. It is the last pure human genetic material in existence." Screens activated around the room, showing images of the crew members. Men and women in uniforms, smiling or serious, from all parts of Earth, the last generation to see their homeworld. "I protect their legacy," RTMIS stated. "It is my primary directive. Everything else can be sacrificed if necessary." After the loss of Minja, the team retreated to the secure command center. They were shaken by what they had seen. The devourers were more dangerous than they had imagined. While Ju worked on strengthening their defenses, Taeho requested access to RTMIS's historical data. "I need to understand what we're facing," Taeho told the AI. "Our own records about this time period are incomplete." RTMIS granted him access to the ship's ancient database. Holographic star charts appeared before him, showing Earth and its colonies as they existed 10,000 years ago. Red markers indicated worlds that had fallen to the enemy. As Taeho studied the data, his scales slowly turned a pale white color, a sign of extreme fear among Vraxians. The others noticed the change. "What is it?" Doyan asked, moving to his side. Taeho pointed to the patterns of red markers spreading across the galaxy. "This matches our oldest legends. These parasites, they're not just random creatures. They're vanguard units of the Void Harvesters." "What are Void Harvesters?" Ju asked, joining them. A species my people considered mythological, cosmic predators mentioned only in our oldest stories, beings that consumed entire civilizations and left nothing behind. Taiho's voice trembled slightly. I never believed the stories were true. Juwu accessed her own knowledge database through their link to the research ship. Our oldest records mention worlds going silent during what we call the Great Silence Era, approximately 10,000 years ago. Dozens of promising civilizations simply stopped communicating. We always thought it was a natural disaster or some cosmic event. It was the harvesters, Taiho said, and somehow they were stopped. RTMIs projected new images, blueprints of the Endurance, and 6 other massive ships. The HSS Endurance was designed to hunt these entities, RTMIs explained. It was not just a warship but a weapon carrier. Captain Junho led the final defensive line as Earth fell. Before the end, humanity launched 7 vessels, each carrying a different weapon against the harvesters. The AI showed them footage from Earth's final days, cities burning, strange ships darkening the skies, humans fighting desperately with weapons that seemed primitive compared to what the aliens now possessed. The Endurance carried a quantum disruptor designed to break the connection between harvester units. RTMIs continued. The other ships carried different weapons, a solar flare generator, a dimensional anchor, a consciousness splitter, and others. Each attacked the harvesters in different ways. Do-hyun's telepathic senses tingled as he processed this information. The implications were enormous. You mean? Yes, Taiho realized, interrupting him. Our civilizations only had the chance to evolve because humans sacrificed themselves. They bought us time. While the harvesters were fighting humans, our ancestor species were developing undisturbed. The harvesters were not destroyed, RTMIS clarified. Based on their patterns, they likely entered a dormant phase after consuming available resources. Captain Junho believed they would return when new civilizations reached a certain technological threshold. The database contained detailed analyses of the parasite's weaknesses, information collected during Earth's desperate final battles. There were tactical suggestions, weapon designs, and behavioral studies of the enemy. This information would be crucial if the harvesters ever returned in force, Juwu said, examining the weapon designs. Some of these concepts could be built using our current technology, but much more effectively. Do-hyun stood silently for a moment, his cranial fins extended fully as he processed everything they had learned. The humans knew they were doomed, but they launched these ships anyway, to warn others who might come after them. Correct, RTMIS said. Captain Junho's final orders were clear. Find allies if possible, continue the fight, ensure humanity is remembered. And you've been carrying out those orders for 10,000 years, Taiho said, his scales shifting to a deep blue of respect. I have maintained the ship's essential systems and protected its knowledge, RTMIS confirmed. The automated defense units continue to contain the devourer infestation. I have been waiting for someone to find this vessel. Juwu stood up suddenly, her 4 hands clenched with determination. We cannot let this knowledge die. The Confederation must know about this threat. She looked at her companions. We must complete the Endurance's mission. But how? Do-hyun asked. The ship is heavily damaged, and the infestation has spread through most of it. We have our own ship and technology, Taiho said, his mind working quickly. We can transfer RTMIS and the database to the Stellar Seeker. We can take the genetic repository too. And the weapon? Juwu asked. RTMIS displayed the ship's schematics, highlighting a massive chamber deep in the vessel's core. The quantum disruptor remains intact but dormant. It requires significant power to activate. The Confederation has the resources to restore it, Taiho said, and to honor the sacrifice these humans made. All 3 researchers looked at the images of Earth's final defenders that RTMIS displayed around them. Captain Junho, Security Chief Subin, and hundreds of others who had given everything to protect future civilizations they would never see. We will carry on their legacy, Do-hyun promised. The HSS Endurance moved slowly through space, approaching the massive orbital station that served as the Galactic Confederation's headquarters. The ancient ship looked very different now. Its hull gleamed in the light of the nearby sun, all battle damage repaired. New systems had been added while keeping the original design intact. 6 months had passed since the research team discovered the derelict vessel. Those months had been filled with intense work. The Confederation had sent hundreds of workers and scientists to help restore the ship once they understood its importance. On the bridge of the Endurance, Taeho, Juwoo, and Doyun, they say they oppose the military occupation of Earth. They've been, she paused, checking her translation again, preserving human artifacts and studying our history. They want to establish communication. Lee activated his comlink. Commander Park, we've made a significant discovery. There appears to be a Talari resistance movement. They'd been collecting and preserving human cultural items. On the reclamation, Park received the news with cautious optimism. Can we trust this, Major? Unknown, but their message includes technical details about a secure communication channel. It seems genuine. Park considered her options. The bacterial agent had given them an unexpected advantage, but it was temporary. Talari reinforcements would eventually develop countermeasures. Set up the communication link, but maintain security protocols, she ordered. I want to hear what these enlightened ones have to say. Hours later, in a secured communication room, Park faced a view screen showing the Talari for the first time in direct conversation. The alien's exoskeleton was paler than others they had seen, with intricate markings that indicated high status in their society. I am Ven, speaker for the enlightened. The Talari introduced itself, its voice translated by the ship's computer. We have awaited your return for generations. Park's eyes narrowed. Awaited? Your people drove us from our planet. Not my people, Ven corrected. The militancy. Those who rule through conquest. We are scholars, preservationists. We have protected your world's history while they stripped its resources. Prove it, Park demanded. The screen changed to show an enormous underground chamber. Inside were thousands of human artifacts, artwork, books, technology, all carefully preserved. A museum of humanity created by aliens. We believe your species created something we could not, Ven explained as the image returned to his face. Art that speaks to emotions we barely comprehend. History that teaches lessons we need to learn. The militancy sees only resources to exploit. We see wonder. Park found herself speechless. This was nothing like the enemy they had prepared to fight. The militancy will recover from your bacterial weapon, Ven continued. When they do, they will destroy everything rather than surrender Earth, unless we work together. What exactly are you proposing? Park asked. An alliance. Our knowledge of Talari weaknesses, your determination to reclaim your home. Together, we can create something neither of our peoples imagined. A shared world. Lieutenant Kim's voice interrupted through the comm system. Commander, Talari orbital forces are regrouping. Their flagship is showing signs of activity. Park looked back at the alien on screen. We don't have much time to decide, do we? No, Ven agreed. But perhaps that is appropriate. The greatest decisions rarely come with the luxury of time. The final battle occurred over what had once been the Pacific Ocean. The reclamation, despite heavy damage, phased directly into the command section of the Talari flagship. Supreme Commander Hannah Park faced Supreme Director Nock, the Talari leader. We took your world because we admired it, Nock explained, gesturing to the collection of human art and literature displayed in his chamber. Your species created beauty we could never imagine. 6 months later, Hannah walked along a restored beach in what had once been Busan. Nearby, human families were building new homes alongside Talari structures. The agreement to share Earth had been controversial, but already the joint restoration projects were showing promise. She watched as a human child and a young Talari cautiously approached each other at the shoreline, curiosity overcoming fear. Hannah smiled, feeling the weight of 2 centuries of exile finally lifting from her shoulders. Earth belonged to all who would protect it now. The Reclamation shuddered as it completed its final phase shift. The damaged ship materialized directly inside the massive Telari flagship, its hull scraping against alien corridors. Alarms blared throughout both vessels as atmospheres mixed and systems failed. Phase shift complete, Lieutenant Kim reported, his console sparking around him. We're inside their command center, but the drive is completely burned out. Commander Park unstrapped from her chair. There's no going back now. Security team with me. She checked her sidearm. Everyone else, prepare for emergency evacuation if needed. Captain Kang approached her. Commander, this is too dangerous. Let me go instead. No, Captain. I started this mission. I'll finish it. Park looked around at her bridge crew one last time. If we don't return in 30 minutes, get our people off this ship however you can. Park led her small team through the breach point where the 2 ships had fused together. The interior of the Talari flagship was unlike anything they had expected. Instead of the harsh military design they anticipated, the walls were adorned with patterns that seemed almost artistic. And more surprising still, many of the patterns were clearly of human origin. These are Earth designs, Security Chief 1 whispered. Ancient patterns from multiple human cultures. They encountered little resistance as they moved deeper into the ship. Most Telari they saw were fleeing in panic, their biotech implants failing from exposure to the bacterial agent that had now spread to their flagship. Finally, they'd reached what appeared to be the command center. The doors were already open, disabled by system failures. Inside, a single Telari stood waiting. Larger than the others, with an exoskeleton bearing elaborate markings of rank and authority. Supreme Commander Park, the alien said in halting but understandable human language. I am Supreme Director Nuck. I have been expecting you. Park kept her weapon trained on the Telari leader. Your forces are in retreat. Your technology is failing. I'm here to negotiate the terms of your surrender. Nuck made a gesture that might have been a Telari version of a laugh. Is that what you believe this is? A simple military victory? The alien moved to one side of the chamber, revealing what had been hidden behind him. A vast collection of human artifacts. Books, paintings, sculptures, and technological devices from throughout human history, all carefully preserved. We took your world because we admired it, Nuck explained, gesturing to the collection. Your species created beauty we could never imagine. Park lowered her weapon slightly, confusion evident on her face. You drove us from our home to collect our art. Not I, Nuck corrected. My predecessors. They discovered Earth by accident, a routine exploration mission. What they found fascinated them. A species that created not just for function, but for meaning. He moved to touch a small painting of Earth's ocean. The militancy saw resources to exploit. Others among us saw something to preserve. The enlightened ones, Park realized. Yes, they began as a small movement, preserving what the militancy would destroy. Over generations they grew. I was once among the militancy myself, until I saw. He gestured to a simple clay bowl painted with human handprints. This, made by a human child thousands of years ago. It served no purpose except to express joy in creation. Outside the flagship, the battle had reached a stalemate. The human fleet, bolstered by ships from the Enlightened One's faction, had surrounded the remaining militancy vessels. Neither side was firing. What exactly are you proposing? Park asked. What Ven suggested, a shared world. We have the knowledge to restore much of what was damaged. You have the right to return home. And those in your militancy who disagree,